In today's class, we'll be talking about 17 things they don't tell you when you're about to change your gender or sex through surgery. Or 17 things you are not told when you want to change your sex. And it's carried out now in many parts of the world. And it's brought a lot of controversies, a lot of political reasons why it shouldn't happen, why it should happen, religious, societal, a lot of things are going on in the society. But I will stick to the medical points that I have written down so I don't forget. And after I have read this to you, you decide if that is the path you want to take. Because I'm standing as a neutral person and I'm giving you medical information that the surgeon will not tell you, that the community that you are in will not tell you, that your own self wouldn't think about, that people who love you, who say they love you, may not have told you, or maybe this knowledge is not available for you to be able to decide what you really want. So I've wrote them down, and please follow up with me. The first is you will not be able to reproduce because we were both made male and female. You won't be able to reproduce, to have kids, whether you change your sex from male to female or female to male. If you change from male to female, you'll never be given a womb. And if you change from female to male, you'll never be able to produce sperms. It's never going to happen. Even if you're given new organs, it's never going to work because you need testosterone to do that. And no matter how much testosterone you take, it's still not going to work. No matter how much hormonal therapy you take, it's still not going to work. The next point is hematoma. And what is hematoma? This is when blood clots into in a tissue or an organ. And when blood clots, it causes the blood pressure to drop. And when the blood pressure drops, it may lead to shock. That means that organ may stop working or that tissue may stop working. And this is very high risk. This is a very high risk operation. You may end up losing a lot of tissues and a lot of organs surrounding your womanhood or your manhood or your private area or your genitalia. The next point is little or no sensitivity on new sex organ. What happens here is some erectile tissue, if a man is transitioning to a woman, some erectile tissue that is found in the male, a born male, if all is not taken out, and a new vagina is produced for a female, what happens is that erectile tissue, whenever that lady wants to have an orgasm, that a trans person wants to have an orgasm, what happens is that area will still swell up and will still cause pain. So what we are experiencing here is pain during sex. Pain during sex. And some surgeries, it goes so bad that there's no sensitivity at all. That no orgasm. Some people don't have orgasms at all. Because sometimes the nerves may be tampered with. Sometimes some nerves may be cut off. So this is something you have to bear in mind. And also next point is 90% of people who want to transition or do a sex change assignment surgery should bear in mind that all their life they may be living on hormones. Either testosterone or estrogen, they will be living on hormones all their lives. And hormones in a body is a whole different thing. It plays a role in damaging or reducing your sex drive, your libido. The next point is it's a very costly lifestyle. What happens is when you change your sex, what happens is you start living a very costly lifestyle. Everything becomes very expensive. Going to the hospital, even if you have insurance, what if your insurance doesn't cover certain things? Your lifestyle becomes so expensive. You can't eat certain things. You are more cautious about your health than ever. You know, it's a very costly lifestyle, especially if you're trying to adapt into a new agenda or sex that you weren't born in. Because a male or a female was already born with a vagina or a penis, what happens is when they transition in that world, even if they have gone through mental, they say mental therapy, most of them actually dream about their old sex organ after they have transitioned or after they have had the surgery. As time goes by, they'll start having dreams of their old sex organ, especially if they were sexually active. You find yourself being with your partner and thinking that you're having your old organ. It is so hard. It is even after how many years? 10 years, 15 years, you feel like something is off. Because your DNA will keep telling you, will keep telling your mind, will keep telling your whole body cells, your tissues, your whole matrix that I had a penis. A penis is supposed to be here. And if you were born a female, it's telling your whole matrix and body that vagina, this body had a vagina. This body, soul, and spirit had a vagina. This individual, this personality had a vagina. She's supposed to be on her period. So that is it. Because, your pituitary is connected to your DNA, your matrix. Your pituitary is responsible for the secretion of the hormones in the body. There's no way you are going to leave and inject your pituitary and tell your pituitary not to produce the hormone it's supposed to produce, when your DNA is telling you that, it's telling your whole body that, oh, you need to secrete this hormone. That is why I say if you go about this, you'll be taking hormones all your life. All your life. So think about it. The next point is tissue damage. Sometimes the tissues are damaged. It gets damaged and, it cannot be used. The next point is urinary tract infections. Most of the urinary passage, urethras, where urine passes through, the new design that is being made by the doctors or by the surgeon, the opening may be too big, and you may be having urinary tract infections very often. Most people who go through this have a lot of urinary tract infections, whether you are transitioning into a male or you are transitioning into a female. Now, the next point is an inadequate depth of the vagina. If you're trying to create a vagina and you're trying to transition from male to female, which I see it's more popular, most people want to be females. I don't know what is about this female gender that many people want to be or get into. Well, if you're transitioning from male to female, most times the vagina that is created, which is supposed to have muscles, because the surgeon is not able to put muscles around the walls of the new vagina he's creating for you, what happens is it's just tissue. And most times it's not deep enough. And so even when you're having sex with a man with a 4-inch erected penis, it still cannot even give you any pleasure. You still cannot enjoy it. And because the new created vagina isn't made out of muscle, because all the vagina is made out of muscle wall, what happens is sex is not pleasurable. And also with time, while the tissues are healing, there's a high probability that it will form a scarring and it will become so tight and nothing can pass through it. I know some people will say they put in something like a vibrator. It looks like a vibrator to be able to keep dilating yourself so that it doesn't tighten. But the truth is, a vagina is a vagina because it's made out of muscle. It's made out of cilia that produces mucus that lubricates the vagina. So it's not just making a vagina. Your vagina needs to be having mucus. It needs to have a pH. That keeps you what it is. That keeps it hygienic. That cleans itself. Now, if you are transitioning, have you asked yourself, how would your vagina be keeping itself clean? You know, are you going to take lactobacilli and put there, or what's going to happen around that area? What's going to happen? Because are you going to ever enjoy sex? Will you keep buying lubricants from the pharmacy and using? These are stuff that you need to ask yourself if this is really what you want to get to, because having a vagina is all about what happens in it. A vagina is because of the muscles around it. It's soft muscles, soft tissue around it, and it's elastic. It can move in. It's amazing. You can do a lot of different positions, but I bet you, with the newly formed vagina from a trans person, I bet you can do a lot of positions. You can do a lot of things. You can enjoy sex the way you're thinking. And I think it's something you should really consider if you want to go into, because you can't have a vagina without having a method of cleaning. A woman's vagina has natural good bacteria, lactobacilli in it. So what would be in your vagina then? Or in your new vagina? The next point is there could be injury to the uterus and to the urinary tract, especially the urinary tract. This is a complication that can cost you a lot. And that when every time you want to go to the toilet to pass out urine, you are in excruciating pain. Think about this before you get into it. I know many doctors, or maybe you are going to a specialist, this person has been doing this for years, this person has been doing this for years. Remember that there's a point I wrote down that I will join with this, and that is there's no advanced technology that is used with this sex change reassignment surgery. No equipment is used, no medical technology or advanced equipment is used. It's just blade and what tears the tissue, what tearing out tissue, cutting and patching you, sewing you up. This procedure is based on the doctor's experience and design. The design that the doctor has in mind he wants to give you, the design of penis he wants to give you, the design of vagina he wants to give you. And then also stenosis, where scar tissue develops, forms into the vagina and causes the vagina to be narrow or shorter. I think I mentioned this earlier. This is a big cause for concern, because you may end up creating a new vagina and never being able to use it. And never been able to use it, and because of hormones imbalance, fluctuating here and there, you have a low sex drive and you will never be able to use your vagina or enjoy sex anyway. There's no advanced technology, and doctors are creating their own design, and this surgery is based mostly on the doctor's experience. You find most people who have a urethral opening, the opening where a pee comes out, pass out urine, to be big, because they have to reconstruct it, and most times it's big. And you have somebody always having infections. The reason why the opening of your urethra is tiny is also to prevent, bacteria or things from going through the urethra. So this is important. Another point is, once it's done, it's irreversible. Once you have cut your penis, you can't put it back. Even if you freeze the penis and say, I want it back, it's not possible. Poof. Trust me, once you get the penis, you're with it. Imagine you transitioning to a male and you are not being able to have an erection. You lose sensitivity and you're not able to have an erection. Think about that. Or most probably you don't like your penis size. And the one thing you should note is, once the surgery is done once, whatever complications you're experiencing at that time, manage it. Because once you think about going in for a second or third surgery, more complications will add. You will have more complications when you continue, when you start going into for the second surgery, for the third surgery, for the fourth surgery. The more surgeries you have, the less functional that organ is. And another thing that people should take in, especially if you're transitioning from male to female, is that all that skin that they take out and send into your vagina to create a vagina, you have pubic hairs growing in your vagina. That's something that you need to take into consideration. And also, if you're transitioning from male to female, during the reconstruction of your new penis, you have that skin where pubic hairs normally grow in, some of them will be maybe folded and stitched, you understand, to give you a perfect design. And you realize that pubic hairs will be growing in your body. Think about this real well, guys. I'm giving you medical knowledge. I've read a lot, and I'm talking from reading a lot of medical books. You wouldn't allow an emotion or a thought to make you go into a surgery or to make you take a decision that you regret for the rest of your life. The next point is mental depression. What happens is there are many reasons why somebody would want to change their sex. Maybe it's because they're depressed. Maybe it's a problem there. Their soul needs healing. You know, your soul has to do with your emotions, your willpower, your desires. You know, maybe due to one or two things in life, maybe a bad relationship, and that affected you, or some incident that affected you while you were a kid or while you were growing up, and you felt less of yourself. You lost your self confidence. You lost your self-esteem. You started thinking about ways you could make yourself better, and you thought about changing your sex, that it would give you a new life, it would give you more opportunities than what you have now. And the reason why I'm saying that it causes mental depression, it causes depression, or it makes you mentally ill, is that it doesn't change the problems that you're having. The problems that are particularly has to do with your soul, it doesn't change it. After the surgery, it's still going to be there. Because your soul has nothing to do with your physical, what you're seeing physically. This is where the power of the mind comes in. The power of positive thinking should come in. Because the power of the mind comes in controlling your emotions, your willpower, and your decisions. And when it comes to emotions, it's all your senses involved. So when your emotions are telling you, are being negative, are bringing you a negative energy to your body, to your spirit, you know, changing clothes, changing environment, bleaching my body, my skin, you know, making me look much lighter, darkening my skin, you know, removing my boobs and replacing doesn't mean that I'm depressed. That doesn't change that I am depressed. Doesn't change that I don't have any self-esteem, you know, and doesn't change that there's something wrong with me. It's also like people who drink because they have problems, or smoke because they have problems, and they think that drinking or smoking is going to change their problem. But after they have smoked like 13 packs, they realize the problems are still there. So this is not a medium of where you can use to be able to solve emotional problems or problems related to your soul. The last point is excruciating pain. A lot of people who go through the surgery may not feel the pain after the surgery, because a lot of painkillers may have been given, tramadol, to be able to suppress the pain. But when you go home now and you want to start using your new organ, then you are going to know that that pain is real. Pain, you can be experiencing pain. Having an orgasm, you'll be experiencing pain. During sex, you'll be having pain. Now ask yourself, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it, guys? Think about it. If you feel depressed, if you feel lonely, if you have been abused mentally, emotionally, changing your sex does not solve the problem. It's only physically. But it doesn't change what is in your soul. It doesn't make you feel better. It may give you happiness there, but it doesn't give you joy. Because there's a difference between joy and happiness. Joy comes from the soul.